Well, g'day everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a wee while since we last had an update. I do apologise for that, but we have been mad busy on farm. Last 3 weeks, got a power load of work done. So yeah, unfortunately the old recording just gets put to one side and we get a little bit busy for things, but here's a bit about what we've got done. So lambing is all but finished right now. We've got the late lambers shedded out and they're in their paddocks. We'll have a wee look at that now. Then we've got tailing done, which has come up really well. We're currently sitting at about 137% tailed, so that's 1.37 lambs per ewe that went to the ram, which is, we're pretty happy with that, and we know there's more than enough in the lates there to get us over the 140 mark, and 140% is our goal. But anyway, let's go and have a look at that now. Got the last of the grass seed in, which is awesome. First two paddocks are up and going. Have we look at that now. So here we are, guys, in the first young grass paddock that we sowed. Now it might not look like much from here, but let's just turn the camera around and have a wee look. So this has been in the ground about 3 weeks. Like we said, it's had snow on it, and it is there. And if we look that way, you get a far better look at it. So you can sort of see the overlap here. It's a bit less here, but it's actually coming up in the ring rows, which is pretty cool. Here's a neat wee spot just back here a wee bit. There's a bloody weed in there, but you sort of see there's no definite rows, and that is pretty wicked. There's a bit of a, I'll say there's a bit of a bare patch here in places, not too bad. Between those two seed spreaders on the drill, but yeah, very happy with this. So we'll keep an eye on this over the next sort of 2-3 weeks. There's not a lot of weeds coming up in here, which is awesome. We don't normally get a lot of weeds with single cropping, and this is our first rotation, so next year will be a teller. Second rotation with single cropping, but yeah, shouldn't need to do any sprays on here. We'll let it get up, try and get it about that long. The test is you just use thumb and finger, try and pull it out of the ground, and if the leaf breaks, you do about 100 odd tests. If the leaf breaks, then it's ready to graze. You want to graze it as soon as you can without losing plants. Yeah, we'll get in here, graze it, get a little bit of urea and superphosphate on it just to keep things ticking away, and then that'll be it for the season until we get to about March. We'll just keep grazing it. If we have to mow it, we will. Just thistles and a bit of fat hen might come up. But yeah, should be pretty awesome. You can see that patch right there where I filled the drill up, and a little bit of seed fell off the front of the lid, but that'll be right. And the last one I'd expect to be coming out of the ground any day now, because it's, what are we today, Wednesday, and it was sown on Friday, and the weather has just been absolutely bloody amazing. But about 10 days ago we did have a snowstorm, and here's a few photos from that now. Good work, dude. Good work. Was that fun? Yeah? Dude, was that fun?
Yeah.
Woo! Is that good fun? Damn. We've got about 400 metres of water pipe in the ground for that water scheme upgrade, or whatever you want to call it, replacement that we're doing. Had a bit of a mishap there, but we've got it in the ground. We were going to plough this year, so that's good. Hopefully it's below the plough line. I know for the most part it's well down, sort of 500-600 mil. The plough's only going to go down 200, but there's a couple of points there where it did ride a bit high and I'm a little bit nervous about, but we'll see. So we've got that done. What else have we got done? Calf rearing's all underway. We've got one mob there, just about half of them, not too far off weaning. Weighed a few the other day and they're about 75 kilos. Another couple of weir mobs under that, just a bit younger. Grass is growing like crazy. They come out of there just a few days ago. Where are we? Over there. And there's already half a grazing back on it again. Yeah, so that's awesome. There's 10 hectares of baleage locked up. We'll go and have a wee sneak peek of that right now. Plenty of quality in this one, but not quite the volume. There's a bit of a measure on the bike. A couple of weeks until we get into it, so still got time to grow. Then we've got this one, which has got a lot more grass on it, as you can see there with the bike, but quite interestingly, there's a lot less right there. There's a line right there. Nope, not ferret. We haven't put any ferret on yet this season. Not to say we won't, we definitely will be, but it's not a urea line or anything like that. This is one of the paddocks that we landed the triplets in, and so we had it split this way and then that way as well, and they have a habit of camping at the top corner of their break, so that's what's happened here. It's camped up at this end, so we go just 20 metres out that way and it's like this again. But yeah, quite hard case. Going to be quite hard case to see that with the mower too, because it won't disappear. It will after we've mown it obviously, but it won't disappear before we mow it in a couple of weeks, hopefully, weather depending. But anyway, hoping to get 100 to 150 bales off these two paddocks of the big squares, and that should be a little over half what we need to get through the next winter. Fingers crossed. So these girls are looking the best they've ever looked. You'll have to excuse them looking a wee bit tatty at the moment. They've been eating some pretty juicy grass, and like that one, the old one's starting to get a wee bit of a dirty bum. Actually quite a few of them. They're going to go get crutched in early next week, I think, depending what happens with this paddock. No, it will be early next week. Get them crutched, give them a drench because they haven't had one since early June, and then we'll get them shorn and they can come back out here onto this rotation. So what have we got? One paddock, 2, 3, 4. There's a one locked up baleage at the other end. This one though is getting ploughed. I'd hope to come out here today and shift them off it so we could get it ploughed today, because it won't take long. But even though we've got lots of grass, I'm not in a mood to be wasting this, especially all of this beautiful wee white clover down there. But this paddock is our little secret project, which possibly hasn't been that secret. May have let the cat out of the bag a couple of times. It's going into maize. We grew maize a couple of years ago, grew really well, didn't achieve the desired purpose, which we were hoping that it might be able to replace baleage on Swedes. Everyone told me it would fall over at the first frost, and it didn't, but at the second frost it did. So anyway, that's fine. But what we learned about it is we can grow a huge amount of quite good quality feed in a very short amount of time. Now, we're not looking for the grain side of it, we're just looking for the green feed. So it is still grass. Corn is a grass plant after all, so it's still called grass feeding, but it's just a bit of an experiment. There's about 2.3 hectares here. We're going to grow our crop of maize. We're forecasted for a dry summer again. I don't get too carried away with forecasts, but we'll find out whether they're right or not. We're going to use it as a summer crop, as a bit of an insurance policy to feed the ewes if it does get dry. Well, we're going to feed it to ewes one way or another. So the idea would be we'd plant it, and I think they talk about 2 months later you start grazing it, but I'm probably more inclined to want to let it go a little bit longer than that and put a few more ewes on it instead, and graze it off a bit faster. Whether we graze it 3 or 4 hours a day and then put them back off into a bare paddock, or whether we just manage to transition them on and they like it a lot and we can just leave them on there, we're yet to find out. But we know we can graze it with sheep, so that's cool. And last year we grew an estimated, so don't quote me on this, but an estimated 12 to 13 tonne of dry matter in about 90 days from planting. We planted it 28th of December. This year we're going to plant it early November, so it'll get that peak growth period, because Southland's peak growth period for grass tends to be November, and hopefully it gets out of the ground, goes really fast, doesn't get a frost on it when it's coming out of the ground, and yeah, by sort of early mid-January we can have quite a bulk of reasonably good quality feed here. If we don't have a dry year, I'll put fatty ewes on it, like if we've got plenty of feed around the rest of the farm, and use it just as a way to extend the round on the rest of the farm. If we do have a dry year and we don't have any feed around, then it might be an option to try and put some weight on some lighter ewes, because if it gets dry there will be lighter ewes. There's not much we can do about that if it gets dry like last year. Yeah, so a little bit of an experiment happening. Be interesting to see how it goes. Success or failure, we will be putting it up on here and other social media channels. So yeah, but like I said, wanted to come in here and plough it today. Too much grass left here. Even though we've got grass, I'm not in the business of burying it for the sake of it. So yeah, got a job to go do tomorrow. Probably shift these tomorrow to be fair, but we'll come back on Friday, hopefully get the plough out, get this turned over, let it sit for a few days, run the power harrow over it, and then I've got a mate coming to plant it with his fancy, it's a sweet planter, but he's got maize discs for it. That's it, planter. So it'll do the job just fine. Get it in the ground, get some fruit on it, and see what happens. Cattle have come off the feed pad and certainly looking pretty content. Come on guys! Hey! Don't like using dogs to shift these because one of my dogs is very, very toothy with them, but they tend to beat her up a little bit, so easier just to not. I'll take a minute to get moving and then they'll be away. For dairy beef yearlings, I'm pretty happy with this. There they go. So they got one, not a lot of grass in here, two, stupid amount of grass in here, and three, which is pretty good except down the bottom in that wee peninsula you can see, which has got a stupid amount of grass down there too. So yeah, should be happy for a wee while. Alright guys, another day, another list of jobs to do. Had a groundswell protest yesterday, but we'll cover that off in a bit more detail later on in the video, or maybe in another, I think. Well, early lambers out of this paddock into that one. Now we've got this mob, which are just the main line of Romneys, heading into that paddock, which is where we just emptied for those other ones. Then we're going to go up and empty those two into that one. Let these ones have that one, or those two, get that focus again, and then the ones that we put just over the hill there before come back to that one. And then these two paddocks here can have a spell for a wee bit. Although this one not very long, because this one is getting ploughed for sweets. They have taken the top off it pretty well, but down here there is still a little bit of feed here. Now, we're not panicking this year about making sure we don't bury any grass. Obviously we're going to bury some, there's always grass there. But it doesn't make sense to bury a whole lot of nice high quality grass. So it's about 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks till we're going to be ploughing this. I might give it a spell for 4 or 5 days. The ones that are going to be on that paddock, which are the earlies, I think we'll leave them there for 4 or 5 days, then we'll put them back in these two, and then that mob on the hill up, where are we, up there somewhere, can have that other paddock. Because they're not under feed pressure, but the quality up there isn't very good, so going to have to do something there. We've got an opportunity this year to really feed stuff well, and hopefully have things looking a lot better at weaning time. And if things are looking a lot better at weaning time, then that is half our season made. The rest of it becomes a lot easier after that. So yeah, don't want to miss that opportunity. Right, so there we go. That's that one and that one up there cleared out. Earlies, going to stay here. These guys out here, going to come into here. We're just going to leave that gate open, go away and shift another mob, because those lambs in that mob are a little bit mismothered because we just hunted them through 2 gateways and they don't like that very much. Anyway, we'll go shift this other mob, come back, put them into here, then this mob, gate just gets opened into there, and everything's good. Everything's happy again, grass is under control. Yeah, like I said, those 2 paddocks down the bottom, give them, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days, maybe a week. Earlies will go down there, and then we've got another mob which are just over the hill there, which can come into this paddock, and we'll give this one a spell for a week or 2 and just let it grow away a wee bit. And yeah, other side of the farm's pretty under control. These earlies, the ewes, do need to be shorn hopefully in about a week's time. We'll see. Going to crutch the hoggets on Monday. It's Friday today. Not many of them will need crutched, so what we'll do is, all the shearers are doing the hoggets, these will be in the yards already. We'll draft the lambs off, we will crutch them, put them back with the lambs, and then when they go in to be shorn, we'll just draft the lambs off again, just so the lambs aren't separated for too long, and let them all go together. They got to be shorn because they're going to be going to the works at the end of November, that mob. All of those ewes are works ewes, so it does work quite well, that. But if this gate comes open, I'm going to cry. I swear I will actually cry. So we've been very careful with that gateway. Right, so we've got them out of these 2 paddocks. They have these 2 as well. They're going through that next one, up, and just below the trees, where are we? Over there. Neighbours are tailing over there though. What I think I might do is just leave them here for a few hours, let their ewes and lambs go back out, get mothered up, and then I'll come back and open the gates, because these guys are a bit mismothered. They're going to be a bit mismothered. Lambs are going to be looking for ewes through fences, and yeah, it could wind up with not 2 or 3, but 20 or 30 either way, and we don't need that right now. They'll be fine here for a couple of hours. We'll just come back, I don't know, after lunch sometime. Pearl away! Will I go, Pearl? Will I go, Pearl? She never listens. Will I go, Pearl? Will I go, Pearl? Pearl? Will I go, Pearl? Pearl? Still. Will I go, Pearl? There you go. Hey. Hey, slow. Will I go, still? Still. There you go. Pearl, quiet. Right, go get up. Go get up. All got their little spots. Steel only rides on the bike. The other 2 are quite happy in the trailer. There we have it, guys. Morning of shuffling stock around. Everything's all happy now. So they're the ones we just hunted up here now. Those are the earlies. First mob we did. Just got this gate open for them. Come down into this really grassy paddock. It should have everything pretty happy now for about a week. That other mob we were just shifting earlier, I will go back after tea, I think, and shuffle them around in the cool of the evening. It's quite cold right now, admittedly, but windy, and yeah, they tend to be quite well mothered up later on in the day. So now I'm going to go have some lunch. After lunch, we're going to start ploughing. Oh, there we go, guys. Jewel off, all hooked up. As you can see, I forgot to grease my boards last year. Didn't forget to. Had this great plan to wash the whole plough. Left it sitting outside for like 3 weeks. Then I did oil them, and they rusted, which sucks. Not too bad. And then I did about 1/4 of a hectare the other day in sweet ground. That last paddock of young grass was sowed out, and yeah, they cleaned up a bit, but not much. So fingers crossed they don't take long to shine up in this lee ground. Anyway, that jewel is off. Question for you guys in America that run these bar axle jewels. I'm putting the bolts back in there with the wheel off, just to keep those threads clean. Is that a good idea? I'm thinking it is, but I don't know. Right, just been to the house, grabbed a bottle of water. Plough is on, ready to go. Let's go for a wee road trip. Alright guys, we've had a wee bit of luck here. That is a boundary fence. Now, matters with all fences, but especially with boundaries. My father ploughed this paddock. This is the first one we did 12 years ago, I want to say, when we first got back into winter cropping. Now, he ploughed this side of the paddock back that way, which means that along the fence line is actually a wee hollow. And the beauty of that is that that means I can just sink straight in and go for it. Obviously the first furrow will be a little bit shallow, but we'll sort of fill that hole in a wee bit. It'll sit a wee bit proud, but not too worried about that. But that saves us having to do one back that way and then go the other way and get really annoying. I think to start this paddock, hang on a minute. So you see around there, it's a long way down to there. We come over here, it's not very far over to there at all. And then we go that way, and it's still a fair way that way. I think to start with, until I've got the plough going right, that I'm just going to go that way. Yeah, that's right, that way. Then run back dry, go that way, do a few runs, get 3 or 4 runs off, and then I might try and pick a line going back the other way around the paddock, but that will be quite challenging here because that edge goes around a river, way around like that, so that is quite ugly. If I just keep going this way, it's going to take a lot more time, but it is going to make it a lot easier to plough, so we'll see. I can't see me going one way for the whole paddock, but yeah, we might wind up with a bit of a V in the middle. Right, let's sink her in the ground and see what happens. We're set to there. Got to get all this stuff reset. Start slow. In the ground. Don't like what the second furrow is doing already, but we'll just run with it for now and see what happens. I'm wondering if it might be a wee bit deep there. I think that second furrow will be okay next time when it's got a big hole beside when the first one falls in a big hole, but we will find out. Yeah. Beautiful looking soil. Slow down a wee bit there and keep that first furrow neat. Don't want to go burying the boundary fence. Like that. Just playing around with the computer, so I've got an area map. Not an area map, an area. I wish I had a map. Width has crept in a wee bit. Back up to 18 inch, I reckon. Out there. A wee bit tidier. go back down the paddock and try that again. Probably don't want to go that close to the river actually. Just move forward a wee bit. About there. See what happens. Shallow on the front. Don't know why that back furrow is doing that, but it is. Getting all confused there. Squeeze her in a wee bit, see what happens. Looks a wee bit nicer. There we go. Jump out and have a look at something, because I think I might have put it in a little bit deep last time I was using it. I haven't got a measuring tape with me, but that does look like an awfully big hole. That's a 13-inch boot. Yeah, it's possibly going close to 9 inches there when you see that. It's a, yeah, so might lift this up a bit. I don't know, I'll play around with it. So guys, got that bit over there done, and we have also started over there. Got the plough going reasonably well. It's not perfect, but it's a very old, well-worn plough, so I was supposed to put a whole lot of bushings and stuff in it this last winter, but this last winter we didn't really get much done because groundswell protest to hear about that in the next video. Anyway, yeah, getting on pretty well. There's the finish. Not perfect. All those wee clumps you can see are sort of like a hole in it, but not bad. Reasonably level, but not perfect. Anyway, let's go for a lap. So, there we go. Might not be very tidy down here because it's a bit unlevel, but we'll see what happens. These ploughs are a nightmare on ground that rolls. Just a wee bit deep there, but I think as we pull up, there we go, up on the flat now. Stepping along not too bad. The whole concept of doing this is that we don't have to spray. Bit of a controversial subject in some circles, I know. Ploughing is bad. Ploughing probably is bad when you're ploughing every single year, especially in drought-prone areas. You get a lot of wind erosion in your soil, and with repetitive cropping you do lose a lot of soil structure. We're not doing that. We're ploughing a paddock, we're putting a crop in, we're harvesting that crop one way or another, most likely through grazing, so returning a lot of nutrients to the soil, not harvesting the whole lot, and then it's going back in pasture for 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 years. And pasture is the best thing for soil structure. So we can do this. It's a really complicated issue. Every practice has issues, right? So herbicides do have issues. There are issues with levels winding up in people's food. That's not a very big one, but there are issues there with certain chemicals. The biggest one that I have a problem with is that there is a resistance issue. Glyphosate particularly is not working like it used to. There are a lot of weeds that glyphosate used to kill that it no longer does. Now this might get a bit untidy here because we're in the old furrow in the middle of the paddock from last time, and it's not going too bad. Anyway, yeah, by introducing ploughing to a rotation where it could be done safely, as in on not too steep of a ground, as in on not too drought prone of a ground, you can extend the life of these chemicals. And I think, yep, annual ploughing every year, year in, year out, the same field, is a potentially bad thing, although there's places in the world where it works. But this concept that the plough needs banned, which I know not many people really believe that, there's a few extreme no-tillers out there that do, they're gonna wind up in trouble. People that won't consider going back to using the plough in rotation with chemicals are going to wind up in a bad spot. So we've taken the stance here that we're just gonna not use them unless necessary. There are some chemicals we use, versatile for thistles over the crops. We use a product called Sequence if need be. And yeah, what else do we use? Oh, we will use insecticides where necessary. So it's not like we're anti-chemicals and think chemicals are going to kill the earth, agri-chemicals. It's just a matter of trying to extend their life and reduce their use where not needed. So this is how we do it. We plough. We're set up for cultivation anyway, so we don't have the gear for no-tilling. We'd have to pay contractors to do that, and as you might have noticed, we do most of our own work. So this is what we've chosen to do. Driving a bit wide at the front there. Anyway, I'll shut up and let you guys watch a bit of this, and yeah, do a couple of laps. Just remember, I never said I'm a great ploughman. We'll wind up stepped a wee bit. You can probably see what I mean at the end, because there's a wee scratch mark down there. Not that easy to see, but the idea is that you're supposed to try and get every moldboard to go down on that scratch line, but that is far easier said than done. On that angle. Come on, come on. First collapse far over the paddock. Bugger! There we go. Beautiful looking soil, isn't it? Right guys, I'm going to crank up another podcast and I will catch you again in a wee while. Probably when we're just about finished this middle section before we start on the headlands. Opened the gate for these girls last night. Admittedly there's 3 gates to go through. And they decided to stay where they are. So got a gate open up there and a gate open right here on the boundary. And looks like we're going to get them to where they've got to go. They got that paddock there and a big one behind it. Can't have been that hungry. And there they go. Happy as Larry. I've got that big hill paddock there too, which goes a long way. So yeah, trees behind me growing quite well. What are they now? They're just over 2 years old. And that young grass paddock is looking very, very green. So it's about 4 days after I first showed you the young grass in this same video. I know guys, that sucks that it spans 4 days, but yeah, just haven't got the time to put stuff together at the moment. So you can sort of see down the rows there, and you can see that the seed has fallen in the roller ring rows as opposed to just the seed unit rows, which has given us like a 2.5 to 3 inch spacing, which is awesome. But yeah, she's coming away. 2 or 3 weeks of hot weather and we'll be grazing that. So just a wee bit on pasture management and why we're shuffling stuff around all the time here. So this paddock here, it looks really nice and green, but it doesn't look that nice and green. And that's because it had singles lambing on it, well, over lambing. And we do tend to run the singles a wee bit harder just to make more room for the twins and triplets. Obviously the single ewes have only got to rear 1 lamb. They don't have to produce as much milk. They don't have as much being sucked out of them. And they haven't had as much sucked out of their body by actually growing those lambs inside them. So this was singles as well. And so was this. Now this one's quite bare as well. It's a bit darker green, but once again the length isn't there. So this one and this one are getting spowed for a wee while. The 4 paddocks down the bottom, we just hunted these off. They've been grazed out reasonably well. Ideally would take them down to the boards and let them grow back, but with ewes and lambs, if we do that, then the ewes get all the good quality feed. So it is a bit of a juggle at this time of year. Once we get to weaning, it is dead easy because you just skin a paddock out with the ewes. They can handle it as long as feed quality is reasonably good. They actually put on quite a bit of weight still when you're doing that, and then you let the lambs eat the regrowth, nice quality feed without too much feed pressure. But yeah, this time of year it's just a matter of every 3 or 4 days going around and shuffling some stuff around, especially in a year like this where we've got plenty of feed and we've got the option to do it. So yeah, just trying to keep on top of that. Not an opportunity we want to miss. So yeah, this paddock and this one, I would say another week to 10 days and we'll be in there. We've sort of shuffled stuff around a wee bit. That paddock up there had Romneys in it and they're now all over that side of the farm. That one up there, the flatter stuff in that, is getting ploughed this year for Swedes. So we're going to go everything over that way that has got the replacement ewe lambs in it. And then the earlies are over there, and they're going to come back down to these other paddocks in a week or 10 days that we've just emptied out when they've got some nice fresh feed on them. And that way, everything's where it should be. There's a definite defining gap between any terminal lambs and any Romney lambs, any straight Romney lambs. And yeah, it's just going to make life a lot easier at weaning. And just there is the finish on the ploughing. Certainly not my best work, but as you can see, that headland is an absolute nightmare. When the old man ploughed it years ago, he even ploughed that little bit down there, but yeah. We'll just leave that. Decent buffer zone around the river, even though this is a summer crop and that's not, I don't know what the rules are. Just decided stuff it. We'll just leave a decent one. This little bit here was obviously all ploughed separately. Absolute nightmare. But it's done. I'm not even worried about that little area around there. Could probably go on a wee bit wider there and taking a wee bit more in here, but the corners with that big plough just wind up being horrendous. So yeah, it's done. Get it pair harrowed next week after these guys have been crutched for shearing. That's going to be the priority job next week. Crutch and a drench, probably get them back out here. Yeah, then we'll worry about that. Anyway guys, sorry it's been a bit of a jumbled video, but yeah, it's just the way it is. Like I said, when we get busy, the camera does get put down. So yeah, probably will happen again in the not too distant future because there's a few big weeks coming up, but we'll do our best to get some footage for you. Damn, Southland is looking good at the moment. Just grass absolutely everywhere. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed that. I'll catch you next time.